Good Thursday afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I need to go through what our severe threat is for this evening because there is a severe threat. Um, Ironically enough, or oddly enough, on the first anniversary of this state last year, we had a line of severe storms come through between about 9 and 11 p.m. that spawned four tornadoes, confirmed tornadoes in Madison County. I saw three other spots that I think there were brief tornadoes, but officially there were four tornadoes on this date last year. We do have a severe threat for this evening, so I'll walk you through that. So the Storm Prediction Center has Madison County, has all of Indiana in a severe risk. Kind of the northwestern two-thirds of the state, basically I-69 and northwest, are in a slight risk, and then I-69 and southeast are in a marginal risk. But as always, who cares what the line on the map is? Fact is, there's a severe risk. You can see the enhanced risk back in northern Illinois, eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin. That's up closer to where a triple point will be, the nexus between warm front, cold front, and low pressure. That's where the easily the greatest severe threat's going to be. But we are going to have to watch a front as it comes through here for some severe potential. Here's the tornado outlook. Again, we're in a 2 to 4% risk for tornadoes, so not a high risk, but there is a risk nonetheless. Those tornadoes should be weak to maybe moderate strength, but I think the more moderate strength or stronger ones are going to be back closer to that triple point. But we will have to keep an eye out. Again, unfortunately, as darkness falls, we're going to have to keep an eye out for this. As is usually the case, the greatest threat for us is actually going to be damaging winds. We have somewhere in the 15 to 29% risk for damaging winds. And again, there's a risk for this. Doesn't mean that every single person is going to get severe. So again, if it doesn't happen in your yard, it does not mean it did not happen. But damaging winds are the main risk behind this. And then there's also a small hail risk as well, 5 to 14% risk. And then, we'll get past this one and we'll deal with uh, was kind of eyeballing early Saturday for or Saturday for a severe risk, but this secondary system's actually coming through a little faster, so we have a marginal risk for severe Friday as well. Right now, there's nothing issued for Saturday, but I still think we may need to keep an eye on that. So the piece of data we'll take a look at for timing is going to be the RRFS. As always, can't take them verbatim. Placement of storm cells, any of that, can't take it verbatim. But this will just give us a timing idea. And so this is right around. I'm doing this at a little afternoon. Probably it's about 12:20. So it'll be 12:30 or after before you get this video. So this is a look at the noon. You can see the timestamp in the upper right. As we advance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by 5 p.m., it's beginning to get its act together pretty good out to our west. You can kind of see up here in this upper corner in eastern Iowa where the low pressure is. So storms that fire up back here, and then some storms that kind of fire up and over here are going to be where the greatest risk will be. But we're going to have a couple of stretches of weak, periods of weakness, not periods, but kind of bands of weakness that will come through that we're going to have to watch with some storms. Again, the greatest threat's going to be back here closer to this low, but here we are at 5 p.m. And we can see storms are fired up pretty well in Illinois, but again, you can see not everybody's getting something. As it advances across, the line begins to form a little tighter. This is by 7 p.m. crossing the state line. 8 p.m. It's probably getting close to that US 31 line. Now the RRFS is building a bow that will move up through Fort Wayne. Again, we can't take this verbatim, but if a bow develops, you watch two things. One is damaging winds, and then two, just usually to the, it kind of depends on dynamics, but usually just to the north of that bow, you'll watch maybe for some spinning as well. But so here we get through by 9 p.m. It's bringing storms into Madison County. Again, it's got this bow up here in Fort Wayne, and that very well could happen. But we'll keep an eye out. And again, it's not a solid line. You can kind of see things are kind of patchy. As long as it stays kind of patchy like that, it gives a little more freedom to an individual cell to be able to develop some rotation. So we would actually rather see it be a more solid line that comes through. While that brings damaging wind risk, it reduces, not eliminates, but reduces tornado threat. As we get into 10 p.m., 11 p.m., you can see that line begins to lose its punch, and the stronger part of it moves on up into eastern Michigan, closer to where the low pressure is. But here it would settle down. We'd still have some thunderstorms around into the overnight hours, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It begins to get out of here, maybe a little sooner than that. And then it moves on. Then we'll watch tomorrow as we get into the afternoon. As you can see, storms begin to lift up from the south. And you can see, again, individualized cells, and that's not really what we want to see. There's a marginal risk for tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised to see that bump up a little bit, but we'll just see how things develop, because how this storm comes through tonight, how this front comes through tonight, will leave different boundaries around, and those boundaries will affect how things play out tomorrow. So our main concern again for this evening is going to be waiting around the, I would say, because this could speed up a little bit, we'll say between the 7 to 9 p.m. time frame for arrival, probably closer to 9 p.m. according to this model. And then the severe threat will probably last, I'd say, until midnight or so, probably maybe even only 11. But we'll have to see how this all sets up, how it progresses across. We had of course, yesterday it was kind of cold, it was rainy, the temperature fell all day long yesterday, then it began to rise overnight. And so we've warmed up significantly. We got this big surge of warm, humid air that's pumping up ahead of this low pressure system. It's going to be followed quickly by, not cold air, but cooler air, significantly cooler air. So, that's a good recipe for issues. It's all a matter of, do we develop any kind of spin to the atmosphere, or is this just going to be, I don't want to say just, or is this going to be a wall of wind kind of event? We'll have to see how those storms mature as we get into the late afternoon, and see if they stay separated, which increases tornado risk, or if they form into more of a line, which increases damaging wind risk. So I'm letting this video go on way too long. So just going back one more time, let me spin back up here, just to keep in mind, I'd say Madison County's in a slight risk for severe. Again, timing appears to be for Madison County any time between the 7 and 11 p.m. time frame, probably mainly in the 8 to 9 p.m. time frame, but we'll have to see how this thing times out, how it forms up, and go from there. All modes of severe are on the table. Again, on the 1-year anniversary of our tornado outbreak last year, which also didn't have super great dynamics with it, but it managed to produce. So we'll see how this plays out. If I need to go live this evening, I will. If anything changes, I will update you. In the meantime, again, if you do support this page, and if you're a page sponsor, thank you so much. If you don't support this page financially, and you can, please go up to the pinned post at the top of the Facebook page or at the top of the Twitter pages. And there are several ways that you can donate to the page. If you want to mail a check, just DM me and I'll send you my address, and you can send a check. I have a couple of people that do that. So again, thank you very much for trusting this page, and I will keep you updated if and when anything develops later on.